seeing more dogs on your timeline instead of cats? Or maybe your feed is full of posts about Heinz ketchup and not that other brand that will remain unnamed. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, Dr. Jess Galani joins us now to share more about filter bubbles. Now, I've been hearing this term, but I wasn't quite sure exactly what it was. So tell us about it.
So a filter bubble is when an algorithmic sorting order of content combines with confirmation bias to kind of bubble wrap us into what can almost become an echo chamber.
Wow.
And I think that all of us are in this in some way, shape, or form. Some people are in this politically. Some people are in this with different brands. Or if you're on the mom side or parenting side of it, I get fed tons of parenting videos. Your algorithm becomes so fine-tuned, but then you don't see any other perspectives.
Yes, it can really lead to a sense that you're in a different universe than people who are a little different from you. And it can reverberate in ways that I think, affect all aspects of life. So when I was a new mom, I would be up late at night and I couldn't talk to my pediatrician. I'd be taking care of the baby and I would Google. And I found myself, because of algorithmic sort, wanting to put trust into the information that told me what I want to hear and click on that and then ignore the stuff that said, well, what you're doing, you should probably change it. And there's so many experts, there's just so much out there.
Yeah, so you were clicking on things that you already believe to be true. That's what happened. And I find it hard to escape this because if you're on social media and you're scrolling, even if you slow down a little bit, it reads what you don't even have to click on anything. No. And I feel as though it's listening to you because you could say something and then you come back to social and it's there.
Yeah, there's like a more complicated thing that's happening when it seems like our phones are listening to us, but in terms of data, everything that we do, every kind of click, every lingering on a post is collected and kind of swept up into dust and made meaningful by, our actions online. And the algorithm takes that input and it creates output that is shaped by what we tell it to do. So I talked about curating your feeds, and this is like when we go a little too far and the algorithm takes it and runs with it.
Right. It's so interesting because one of my favorite times on TikTok was when I first downloaded it because it didn't know anything about me. And so I got fed all sorts of different stuff, all kinds of different beliefs and videos and interesting things. And then it starts to narrow and narrow and narrow more. So how can we pop that bubble?
Well, it's really challenging, and I think one of the ways to do it is to try to broaden our horizons. So one of the things that I try to do when I notice that I'm being kind of susceptible to confirmation bias, which is the tendency to trust what tells us what we want to hear and be skeptical of what tells us what we don't want to hear, is, try to click on things that may be outside of what I want to be true. And you can do this thing called lateral reading, where before you jump to conclusions about a topic, you seek out other information to try to broaden your horizons in sources.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about why this is happening. I mean, are these companies, are they trying, is social media trying to sell us things? Are they trying to get us to believe one way over the other?
I think that the algorithm doesn't have a preference about belief. I think that the algorithm's goal is always just to keep us there. And it determines that we are more likely to stay if we see what we want to see.
My interesting question, I'm just thinking about this as you're talking. We're thinking about this mostly as social media, but is this something that's also happening when we're Googling things as well? Does it format that way as well?
So Google has over time become less kind of effective, I think, at producing neutral search results because it has sought to make profitable benchmarks to please its shareholders, and as a result, it means that the suggestion engine that it uses a PageRank algorithm, will sort the content tailored to us based on what it already knows about us. So if you have a Gmail, if you have a Google account, which most people do, it is using that information. And because Alphabet, which owns Google, also owns YouTube, it's taking information from anything that we've watched there and also kind of calculating that into the mix.
I think it's just, it's a good reminder to always seek out additional information and not just trust the first thing that you see.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you for bringing this awareness, for
really
sure.
Interesting stuff. And we also want to let you know that Dr. Jess Galani is also speaking at the Future Readiness Conference that's happening tomorrow at the Fred Rogers Convention Center in Latrobe. Registration is free and she is full of information. You want to see her in person. We're going to have the information for you on our website, kdka.com/talkpittsburgh.